Commander Zyxthor of the Caldrith Armada stood on the bridge of his flagship, mandibles clicking with satisfaction as the blue-green planet filled the viewscreen. The intelligence reports had been clear: a primitive civilization, barely achieving rudimentary space travel, ripe for annexation. The Caldrith Empire had conquered 47 worlds in the last cycle alone. This would be number 48. Initial strike teams, deploy, Zyxthor commanded, his translator chip converting his speech into the standard galactic tongue. 300 landing craft descended through Earth's atmosphere, their shields glowing against the friction. The targets were strategic: military installations, communication hubs, population centers. The plan was textbook Caldrith doctrine: overwhelming force, rapid subjugation, minimal resistance. Zyxthor's confidence evaporated within the first hour. The initial reports from the surface teams were confusing, then alarming, then terrifying. Commander, Strike Team 7 reports they've been repelled from the facility designated Fort Bragg, his tactical officer reported, confusion evident in his voice. The primitives they're not retreating. Impossible. Our weapons are centuries beyond theirs. Sir, they're adapting. One unit reports that the humans observed our plasma rifles for approximately 30 seconds before jury-rigging their own projectile weapons to penetrate our shields by calculating the frequency modulation. Zyxthor felt his secondary heart skip a beat. 30 seconds. More reports flooded in. Strike Team 3 had been ambushed by something called the National Guard, in a place called Texas. The humans had used their primitive combustion vehicles as battering rams, followed by coordinated small arms fire that exploited the brief shield reset period after impact. 12 Caldrith warriors dead. Strike Team 11 reported being hunted through the streets of New York City by civilians, who had somehow weaponized their infrastructure, dropping construction equipment from buildings and flooding subway tunnels to trap the invaders. But it was the report from Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Reeves of the United States Air Force that should have warned them. Reeves stood in the smoking ruins of what had been Nellis Air Force Base, his uniform torn and bloodied, but his eyes burning with something the Caldrith had never encountered before: spite. "You want Earth," he spoke into the recovered Caldrith communicator, knowing they were listening. "Let me tell you what you just did. You didn't attack a planet. You attacked a world that spent thousands of years perfecting the art of killing each other. We've had 2 world wars. We've split the atom not for power, but for bombs. We've created diseases, poisons, and weapons that we banned ourselves from using because they were too horrible even for us." Reeves limped forward, retrieving a fallen plasma rifle. "You know what we call a setback? Tuesday. You know what we call impossible odds? A challenge." He smiled, and it wasn't friendly. "You should have checked what Earth means in our languages. It means home. And humans don't give up their homes." Within 6 hours of the initial invasion, humanity's response had evolved from defensive to offensive. A weapons engineer named Jennifer Martinez in California had already designed a handheld EMP device using parts from a microwave and a car battery that disabled Caldrith combat drones. The design was open-sourced online within minutes. Millions of them were being assembled in garages worldwide. A teenager named Kyle Patterson in Ohio had hacked into a downed Caldrith fighter's computer using his gaming laptop and a USB cable. He'd posted the source code to their shields on Reddit. 47 countries now had it. In Russia, a group of civilians had captured a Caldrith assault walker by digging a pit trap covered with holographic advertisements. In Japan, a martial arts master had defeated 3 Caldrith warriors in close combat because, as he explained to confused military officials, they fight like they've never faced an opponent who wouldn't give up. The turning point came in Antarctica. The Caldrith had established their main command base there, assuming the harsh environment would deter the humans. They hadn't accounted for the international research stations or the fact that humans had been living in Antarctica for decades because, as Dr. Robert Palmer explained while leading a raid on the base, were the species that looked at an inhospitable frozen wasteland and said, "I'm going to put a research station there." The scientists, armed with improvised weapons and intimate knowledge of surviving in extreme conditions, destroyed the Caldrith command structure in a midnight raid. They used the aliens' own technology against them, having spent the previous 12 hours reverse engineering everything they could find. Commander SpaceOper watched his empire's perfect conquest dissolve into chaos. His troops were being hunted. His technology was being stolen and improved upon. His primitive enemy was learning, adapting, and fighting back with a ferocity that defied all tactical projections. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," his communications officer said. "It's from their leader." President Katherine Morrison appeared on screen, standing in the White House Situation Room, surrounded by military advisors from 20 nations. She spoke calmly, but her message was clear. "Commander SpaceOper, you've made a grave miscalculation. You attacked us thinking we were divided, primitive, and weak. But you've done something remarkable, you've united humanity. Every nation, every creed, every person on this planet now has a common enemy. Congratulations." She leaned forward. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave. You're going to take your fleet and go. Because if you don't, we're going to take your ships, learn how they work, and come find you. And Commander, we hold grudges." SpaceOper looked at his tactical display. In 72 hours, the humans had gone from defending to attacking. They were assaulting his orbital positions. They'd retrofitted their primitive rockets with captured Caldrith weapons. They were winning. He gave the order to retreat. As the Caldrith fleet jumped to hyperspace, SpaceOper updated the galactic database with a new entry. Planet, Earth. Species, human. Threat level, extreme. Recommendation, avoid at all costs. They call it the Death World, and they love it there. They are persistence predators, problem solvers, and they have something they call stubbornness that defies all logical analysis. They will never surrender. They will never stop. They are humanity. On Earth, Marcus Reeves stood among his fellow soldiers, watching the alien ships disappear into the stars. Someone handed him a beer. "Think they'll come back?" a young private asked. Reeves smiled. "If they do, we'll be ready. That's what humans do best." "What's that, sir?" "Survive. And make damn sure everyone knows they messed with the wrong planet."